There's our old wheelbarrow. And there's Jonathan.
Wood chips had, was inoculated with these mushrooms, so anywhere you put the wood chips, the mushrooms come up. They're fine. I mean, they're not edible, but they're just not going to hurt anything. They're actually good. And so the mushrooms are, they eat like wood and stuff like that. They help break down the wood.
Oh, neat.
Instead of curling down like most mushrooms, like the cap, it's like upside down almost.
Oh, I see that. It is upside down.
Black and gray. I think they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think they look awesome. Like sounds like how far their like stem structure like comes from down in the pile. It comes like up like a foot or two, like out of the very bottom of the pile, all the way to the top. It's crazy. Oh my god.
You can eat these yellow flowers?
Uh-huh. Some people can make salad or fries. Let's try with this. These are definitely anyway. We're gonna get really trying like something like that. Anything besides maybe fried or as a garnish or raw or whatever, they probably get like really sort of soft and stringy, but the flavor, but they are kind of good. I like put like some kind of like either like a soft cheese, like goat cheese or farmer's cheese or cottage cheese or what's that? Ricotta cheese.
Mm.
And the flowers are like really delicate, and the cottage cheese kind of a delicate, light flavor, so nothing really overpowers one or the other.
Mm. How do you say this? Corno di toro?
Corno di toro, yeah. Toro.
Toro?
Is it 2 R's or one?
1 R.
Yeah, toro, yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, wait, see, it's not 2, is it? But in Italian, they definitely do like all the letters that are, double are definitely pronounced double.
Mm-hmm. Just like in Spanish.
Well, except, yeah, Spanish really only has double R and double L, which double L is actually pronounced is a different letter actually. So they only have the one double letter. But in Italian, like any consonant can be doubled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, like the double C.
Yeah. Only function is, well, it's used in the beginning of like 3 or 4 words. The verb to have,
Mm-hmm.
which actually the infinitive avere, it doesn't have the H, but in like the the conjugations of like I have, you have, like all of the present tense. I don't know if all the in the other tenses I don't think I even have it, but just in the present tense, io ho, tu hai, lui ha, lei ha is H-O, H-I, H-A-I, and H-A, and then they have loro hanno, H-A-N-N-O. Otherwise, well, anno, the exact it's pronounced exactly the same, would be the same as year.
Yeah.
Anno Domini. And if you're just a single N, it means anus.
That's so funny.
Anno is,
Oh right.
anno and anno, almost the same. Like anus and year, like the only difference between them is like an N. There's some joke about that in Italian too. Like, what's the difference between an asshole and a year and like an N or something like that? But it's I don't know. It's kind of the way it is. It's kind of like cute. Just one letter or something like that, or like.
Hillbilly tomato.
Yeah, one some of my favorite. Look at how pretty they are. You see the picture on there?
Yeah.
They're like all like striped or like different colors. Are awesome. Like I've grown those before. There's actually several like that. These two right here are called Old German, and they're similar. Those are more red with yellow. These are more yellow with red, or maybe it's the other way around. And then there's another one over here that I got that I've been looking for. I just found them the other day. It's really late, and they're called Mr. Stripey, and they're actually supposed to be striped on the outside more. Although when I grew them before, I don't know if the plants may have gotten mixed up or what. They weren't like that. But last year, when I had them until on the rooftop, they actually were striped. And I'm not sure if it was those. But I had some I had some tomatoes that actually were striped. I'd grown them from seed though, so they don't get mixed up when I grow them from seed. Usually, the tomatoes especially, hard to keep. Even if I label them, because I don't have like a right little thing. Sometimes I don't even label them. Just like I'll figure it out at the end.
Yeah.
I'll figure out what kind of tomato comes on them. But then, and I think actually those actually came from like a variety pack.
Oh.
And it just told me like what was in the pack, like basically. So I didn't even know. It was just like a mystery because the pack was like a mix of like, I got 2 packs. One was like the rainbow pack, and one was like the chef's pack. And they were actually really awesome looking. They were totally very striped, like almost like a zebra, like tiger looking.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember like the ones these like yellow and red, and we were red and yellow ones. I remember having those when I was a kid. My grandparents threw those.
Oh.
I'm not sure if they were the same like variety actually, but they tomatoes like that, that were striped in the inside and like really pretty. It's so delicious. They're like some of my favorite ones. And then one of my favorites that I grew a few years back. I still live in Gainesville, so I guess it was like 2017 or I think it's 2017. Yeah, it was on these. I only had one plant, and then I only got like maybe 2 or 3 tomatoes off of it at the most. And it was like these green tomatoes. They never get right. They stay green. They were so delicious. Oh my gosh. They were like the most delicious tomato I had that year.
You're taking out the weeds?
Yeah, well, I'm taking out all the roots because I'm gonna mix this in the soil, and then, I'm taking out all the roots, the rocks, and breaking up all the clumps and stuff. It's just like tedious. That's all. Of course, it's a lot easier actually when the soil is soft because the clumps can get really hard when they're dried.
Oh, so it's good that it rained?
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's not muddy. It's not so wet that it's muddy that it's actually a lot easier. Before, like some of them are really hard to break up. Super hard clumps. This is, I think that's a rock here. And I leave some of them in the smaller ones, but better not. Smaller ones are alright. I'm looking like another
perlite?
Yeah. Well, that actually you can see the sand, but it's like these little white speckles that you always see in like soil. It's sort of like really
Oh yeah.
light and soft. That's what's called perlite. And it's like basically they're really light, and they basically just help, soil helps. You mix it into stuff and it just lets it basically without adding weight. It lets it sort of creates spaces, and it's almost like air or whatever, and so it lets it drain really well. Otherwise, it doesn't get compacted together. Soil that otherwise would be compacting or tend to get too dense for the roots. That really helps break it up, and then it lets it breathe or whatever, and lets it drain. It gets soggy. Because most roots don't like to stay wet. They like to have access to water, but not to be in water. A lot of plants will die really quickly if their roots are wet. It's like they drown.
Oh yeah.
When they say their feet are wet, they don't like to have their feet wet.
Their feet wet.
It's like our feet; they get tangled up and. Yeah, I think that. Well, not the drowning, but I think the problem was some of these tomato plants died, and all this stuff. It was taking a long time to take off. I think it's because that soil, that leaf mulch that we got, it doesn't drain very well. It seems like it would. It's really seems really light, or whatever. But actually, it doesn't drain very well. So I needed to add perlite to it, but I didn't realize. I'd never used it before, and I should have I don't know, play around with it a little more. I would have realized that. Later after I'd done all this, I kind of figured out wow, it doesn't seem like it doesn't drain very well. It doesn't let water. It seemed like it would. It seemed like very sort of light, and that it would just let water go right through it. But it doesn't. It just kind of traps water towards the top. It actually doesn't even let water go into it almost. It holds on to it. When you dig, if you pull up, it's only water for a little bit, and even if it's rained a lot, it still is sort of stuck in that top layer. It doesn't let it really go through. I think that's what was the problem with some of these plants. That's what I was planting in without putting anything in it. If it had some perlite in it, the perlite would let the water go through.
Oh, got it. Yes.
It would break it up enough so that the water would, find those places where the perlite was, and right around the perlite, get through and go down. That's really important. You need to have. And so it was a combination of it wasn't letting the water through, and then it was creating also a dense soil kind of. That the roots have a harder time getting through. The roots actually, they start off microscopic. They can actually break through a lot of things. They're so tiny. They just get their way into little spaces, and they can get through even really hard. Especially mushrooms. Mushrooms are amazing. Mushrooms can really break up hard clay really well. Plant roots the plants feed the fungus. Literally sugar that they make, photosynthesis. I mean, basically photosynthesis takes the carbon dioxide out of the air, the carbon out of the air, and takes the carbon part of the carbon dioxide, and then the oxide part it releases as oxygen, and then the water it gets from the ground, and it makes carbohydrates, which is carbon and then hydrate, water, and which is sugar. It gets the water part from the ground. It's kind of crazy. It gets sugar is made from the air and water. Isn't that crazy? Who even thinks about that? That's actually, it's right there in the words, but actually think about the sugar in plants coming from the air and the water in the ground. Sugar is carbohydrate. Sugar is the energy of basically all living things, really. And so the plants actually, they release sugar into the soil directly to the fungus, and the fungus uses that, and it brings nutrients that the plant needs. They communicate, and it basically tells it what it needs in some way, and it the fungus or the mushrooms or whatever bring the nutrients that the plant needs to the roots.